Hello, flamingos, and welcome to Disrupting Obesity. I'm Charlotte Skanes, and I lost over 200 pounds without surgery, without fads, and without hating myself through the process. I'm here to help you unlearn what the diet industry has been feeding you and to talk about what it actually takes to lose weight and keep it off. I want to help you make real mindset shifts and start to build trust with yourself again, all while giving you the tools that you'll need to do it, but without losing yourself or your mind in the process. It might be Monday, but we're not starting over. So brace yourself, Gladys, and let's get into it. Hello, flamingos. Welcome to episode 117. This is part 17 in our series of the 101 weight loss truths, and this should be the second to last one. I think I can wrap all this up in just this episode plus one more, but they're a little bit intense, so we're going to see how that goes. All right, today we are starting right off with number 95. There is no place for perfect in weight loss. Trying to be perfect when it comes to losing weight is just another form of self-sabotage. I have more than just slightly perfectionist tendencies, so I really do get it. But here's the thing. Striving for perfection when you're trying to lose weight, which is an imperfect journey to begin with. It's just, I don't really think you can achieve perfection in much in life, let alone weight loss. But when you're trying to be perfect with the way that you're losing weight, what you're really doing is just sabotaging yourself because you're trying to get somewhere that doesn't exist. And I think there's probably a part of you that already knows this isn't going to be a perfect journey. This isn't going to be something that's going to go exactly right all the time. You're not just going to be able to nail this down, set it and forget it. You're perfect and you're good. It's not how weight loss works. It's constantly evolving. Things are constantly changing. And that's the way you want it to be. This is why I advocate for small incremental change, because it's something that you can apply the whole way through your journey, because weight loss is super relative. When you're telling yourself that you're trying to be perfect with your weight loss, you're kind of setting yourself up to fail. And the other message that you're sending yourself is, I'm not going to be able to do this, because you already know you can't be perfect. So if you're telling yourself that this is going to go perfectly, what you're actually telling yourself in some ways is, I really don't want to try. There's also a pretty intense connection between perfectionism and procrastination, which I've always found super interesting because it's definitely something I've let get in my way. If I can't do it right, I'm not going to do it at all. I'm not going to start until I can do it perfectly. I apply that to a lot of different things, but I've also applied it to my weight loss journey at a whole bunch of different points, especially the first time. The first time when I lost the 201 pounds, I was so consumed with getting it right and getting the weight off and doing it the most efficient way I could and just nailing it, you know? The second time I lost my weight, I had realized by then that there was just no room left at all for perfection on this journey. It was going to be what it is, and I'm going to do the absolute best I can. I knew I was going to get there, but I knew getting there wasn't going to be perfect. I wasn't going to lose, the exact 1.5 pounds a week that you're supposed to, or whatever arbitrary number you have in your head. I knew perfection wasn't going to come. I knew I wasn't going to be able to stay within my calories every day. I changed my expectations. And the first thing I did was I dropped any expectation of perfection from myself. And you really should drop that expectation from yourself too. It's only getting in your way. If you're waiting until you know how to cook all of these perfect meals, or you're waiting until you've got your mindset right, or whatever it is that you're waiting to get nailed down, stop waiting. Stop chasing perfect. Just keep doing the absolute best that you can. That's really all you can ask of yourself, especially since when you're asking yourself for perfection and you're expecting perfection, what you're really doing is sabotaging yourself. Number 96 is breed, build, become. And that sounds like just 3 random words, probably because they are 3 random words. And you're like, what the fuck is she even talking about right now? That's the expression that I use inside the program to help people get a handle on their habits. So we want to breed new habits. We want to come up with new habits that we are going to put in place. Usually to replace another habit, I like to piggyback habits one on each other. Like if you need to, I'm sure you've heard this, that if you need to remember to like take a pill or something, make sure that you do it when you brush your teeth, because brushing your teeth is something that you're going to do twice a day, every day anyway. So if you have to take a pill in the morning and at night, you might as well piggyback it on brushing your teeth. You have an established habit in place. It's that much easier to put another one just on top of it. Your habits will help carry you through the hard stuff, but they're very delicate. And anybody who's had habits in place, I think, will be able to tell you that. Anybody who's tried to build a new habit can also tell you that. New habits can crumble like sandcastles when the tide comes in. They crumble in a big hurry, especially if it's something that feels uncomfortable or new, or maybe it's something you don't really want to do anyway. They can crumble in a hurry. If a new habit is making you even slightly uncomfortable, you're that much less likely to continue with it. So we breed the habit when we decide that we need to put it in place. We build the habit as we continue to do it over and over again, trying to make it into a habit. And then we become our habits. They become things that we just do automatically, like getting up in the morning and brushing your teeth. That's just a habit that we don't even think about anymore. But let's say you're trying to incorporate more water into your diet. You do really well for the first couple of weeks, and then, pattern interrupt. You end up on vacation, or somebody comes to stay at your house, or you have a rough week, whatever, pattern interrupt. And all of a sudden, you're not drinking the water anymore. And it's like you were never drinking the water at all, because the habit just vanished. It just crumbled away into thin air. It takes a lot of time and patience and practice to put new habits into place. You have to be patient with yourself, and you have to give yourself a lot of runway with these. It's not going to happen overnight. It's probably not going to happen in a couple of weeks. Now, there are studies out there where they've looked at how long it takes to build a new habit. And honestly, the answers are all over the place. You will see, if you Google this, you will see everything from it takes 30 days to it takes an average of 200 days. It's all over the map. It's also going to depend on what type of a habit you're putting in place, right? If it's something relatively innocuous, like I'm trying to add more water to my day, that's going to be easier than I'm going to try and run 5 kilometers every day. It's going to be relative to what you're trying to do. But instead of beating yourself up because you haven't, picked up on a habit right away, and it's not something that you're just automatically doing yet, don't beat yourself up. Look at it as a process instead. You have to breed the habits to build the habits so that you can become the habits. It takes time. The thing with habits, especially things like, getting your water in, or getting your fiber in, or trying to take extra steps, whatever it is that you're trying to incorporate into your lifestyle, keeping those habits really straightforward and then giving yourself the time to put them in place is very important if you want them to last. And there might be really simple things like you're going to add an omega to your day. Awesome. You can piggyback that on another habit. But there might be things that you're trying to put in place that are brand new for you, like making sure that you're getting in 90 ounces of water a day, or making sure that you're hitting your daily fiber goal, or whatever it is that you've laid out. And it could be that you're trying to break another habit by slotting something else in place of it. But you need to keep in mind that you can't become the habit that you're trying to establish until you've invested the time in building it and breeding it. You have to do those other things as well. And it's not going to happen overnight. And some of these things are going to be a lot easier than others are to maintain. But when we look at it as a process, instead of I'm flipping a switch and I have this habit, you're not going to just have this habit. You have to invest into it. Viewing it as a process is going to make this easier on your mindset. So instead of getting frustrated with yourself because, oh shit, I forgot to drink my water today, I guess I'm not doing so well with building this new habit. No, that's just part of the process. This is a process, and it's going to take time. Number 97 is keep your eyes on your own scale. They tell us that comparison is the thief of joy for a reason, for a very good reason, because it's the truth. You can be super happy about your progress. Oh my God, I'm down 8 pounds this month, which is a great month, by the way. I'm down 8 pounds this month. I'm feeling amazing. And then you run into somebody at the grocery store and they've clearly lost weight too. And you're like, oh my God, you look amazing. And they're like, oh my God, you too, you look so amazing. they say, oh, well, I got started a few weeks ago. I'm already down X. They're down more than you. And all of a sudden, you were flying high because you lost 8 pounds last month. Then you ran into somebody else who lost more. And it's like the wind's completely out of your sails. Nothing has changed. You still lost the 8 pounds. You're just feeling lesser than because somebody else lost more. Yeah, keep your eyes on your own scale. A critical part of this process is learning to celebrate yourself and to celebrate your little wins. When we start comparing ourselves, comparing our scales, comparing our wins, comparing the way that it's going to other people, it starts to get really discouraging in a really big hurry. And it is very important that you keep your eyes on your own prize. Stay in your own lane. They want us to think that weight loss is a team sport, and it absolutely isn't. This is about as individual as a pursuit can become. But we all have this tendency to compare ourselves to others and compare our journeys to others. But you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. You have no idea how many times they've tried and failed to lose weight. You have no idea what they're doing to lose their weight. And you have no idea where the two of you are going to be a couple years from now. Something else to keep in mind is it's all relative. So someone else could be looking at your journey. Maybe they only lost 4 pounds last month, which is still a really good month. I can't keep saying this enough. That's a pound a week is awesome. That is exactly where you want to be. It's bloody brilliant. But we hear that and we go, oh, well, the person who lost 4 pounds feels the same way about you at 8 pounds that you feel about the person who lost 16. This is all relative. That's why it's so important that you stay focused on yourself. Focusing on other people is a very handy distraction. I've seen that a lot of times. We can decide we're going to pair up with somebody else and we're going to lose our weight together. And it's going to be so motivating and it's just going to be wonderful and awesome and all of this stuff until we get more invested in the other person's journey than our own, which, you guessed it, self-sabotage gremlin. The gremlin pops up to go, oh yeah, we're going to pay attention to that other person and not pay attention to ourselves. The more emotionally invested I can get her in what that other person is doing, the less likely she is to succeed. Do you see how the gremlins work in here? That nasty little goblin that lives in the back of your brain and is always telling you that you can't do it absolutely loves it when you start comparing your journey to other people. It loves it when you run into that chick at the grocery store or the girl you went to high school with or the coworker just over there who has access to different resources for weight loss than you do. Your little self-sabotage goblin goes absolutely crazy when you focus on that stuff. Because if you're focused on that stuff, you're not focused on yourself. You're certainly not focused on weight loss, and you're that much less likely to succeed, which is what your self-sabotage goblin wants. And there might be a little voice being like, yeah, but it's so inspiring for you to see how successful other people are. Is it? Is it inspiring? Because I'm not convinced that it is. I don't think it's motivating. I think it leads to jealousy. I think it leads to feeling bad about yourself. I think it can lead to feeling bad about the other person, which only makes you feel worse about yourself, because what kind of person begrudges somebody else their weight loss? This is a very slippery slope. And this is why it's so important to just stay focused on yourself. You can be happy for other people. You can have all of those feelings that you're having, and they're all totally valid. The jealousy, the envy, the anger, the disappointment, the feelings of how unfair it is, all of that stuff is totally valid. But the fact that it's valid doesn't mean that it's going to get you anywhere. The fact that it's valid doesn't make it useful. There's a big difference. So we can validate those feelings and be like, yeah, that's normal. That's absolutely normal. I'm working hard too. I can't afford the medication, or I can't afford surgery, or I'm not in a position to do this or that, or whatever the comparison is here. You can still be happy for that other person and at the same time be not happy for yourself. This was a really hard lesson for me to learn. And it's something I actually learned through pregnancy loss and I know I'm not alone with this one, when you're actively trying to have a baby and you're having a really hard time. I've been very open about Sean and my journey to have children. We lost 3 before we had 3. And it was as hard for us as it is for anybody else. We're no different, no better, no worse. It was really, really difficult. But one of the hardest things is when you are so desperately trying to have a baby and you're going to baby showers and, you've got close friends who are pregnant and who are having wonderful pregnancies and wonderful babies. And that's all you want for yourself. But the universe is saying no right now. Those feelings all transfer to weight loss too. You want to be losing the weight. You want to be the one buying the smaller clothes and having everybody fawn over you and tell you how amazing you look and asking questions about how it's going and getting all that attention. And, but it's not happening for you yet. Those feelings are all totally normal. But just like you can be happy for your bestie who had a baby when you're trying, you can be happy for somebody else on their weight loss journey too. But it's just as complicated. The waters are just as muddy. It's just as hard. The last one we're going to look at this week is number 98, consistency, not intensity. When you're trying to lose more than a couple of pounds, consistency just became your new best friend. We all want to go hard. We all want to, the expression I use, we all want to just walk into our kitchen Monday morning, throw everything in the garbage, start over and be like, I'm free. I'm going to use these cool little containers and I'm never eating carbs again. And I'm going to do this and that. Intensity feels good. We have all been told that the harder you go, the better your result. And that is not the way it works with weight loss, because when you have more than a couple of pounds to lose, you have to be able to keep going. Sustainability is the number one concern here. It doesn't matter how much weight you're losing. If you can't keep losing it long enough to get to your goal, what's the point? And if you're sitting there thinking, yeah, but I could just keep doing this. I could just keep going at this intensity level. I could be consistent with it. Yeah, probably not. And I'm not saying that because of a lack of belief in you. I'm saying that just because I've seen this play out so many times. And I think we all know anecdotally, the harder you go at the beginning, the faster you tend to give up. That's just weight loss math. It's just a nice inverse ratio. The harder somebody tries that first week, the more likely they are to drop off. I was talking to somebody this morning who lasted 36 hours on a diet. And I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I could come in under that too. Like, it's easy to do. I'm pretty sure there are diets I gave up on in the first 12. We think that the more intense it is, we're going to just stay that involved and that revved up about it. And you don't. Think about anything you've ever done in your life, like literally anything. The novelty wears off eventually. When you're extreme dieting, when you're doing, sorry to be very clear, when you're doing an extreme diet, something that's heavily restrictive, that's pretty intense. You're that much more likely to burn out that much quicker. We think it's the intensity that's the key, and it's not. It's the consistency that's the key. The other thing here is, at least I am, and I know this isn't the way it always works in the weight loss community. My whole goal is to help you be able to maintain your weight. I really feel like teaching someone how to lose weight without then teaching them how to maintain it is cruel. I do. It's like giving a kid a toy and letting them play with it for an hour and then snatching it away after you promised them they could keep it. It's a horrible thing to do to somebody. And I get it. Like, I understand why. I think maintenance is a little bit more complicated. And I think all of just the emotional side of all of this is a lot more than most people are willing to try and take on. But it's absolutely critical that you come out of this and you know how you're going to be able to maintain. Learning to be consistent while you're losing is a massive skill set that you're going to need to maintain, because you're going to have to be consistent to maintain too. This is a skill that's going to carry you all the way through, because it's not just about the weight loss. It's not just about getting to your goal. It has to be about staying at your goal too. And I know that some of you are sitting there going, dude, I'm staring down a couple 100 pounds here. Like, I'm not even thinking about maintaining this weight loss yet. And I'm like, that's fine. Go for it. You don't have to focus on it. I've got it all built in. So you're going to learn it anyway. You don't have to focus on consistency for maintenance mode. What I'm saying is, if you're consistent while you're losing, it's going to be that much more easy to be consistent when you're maintaining. And that's the skill set that you really need, because there isn't a way to, sure, you can lose weight in a really intense way. Like I said, you can switch to containers and you can throw out all your carbs and you can only eat single ingredient, organic, whole foods that listen to Kumbaya over speakers at night while they were growing, all of that stuff. But once you're maintaining, how are you going to be intense about that? I mean, you can feel passionately about it. There are different things that you can do, but there's no like going hard for the paint when you're maintaining. So mentally, you need to prepare yourself for that too, that the intensity level is going to change. Also, when you're losing weight, you still have a life. It's not just all about losing weight. And I think it's far more important to be consistent with this, because when we're too intense about it and the weight loss is too all consuming, you hit a point where you start to miss your life and it's not worth it anymore. And the more intense and the more extreme whatever diet you're doing is, the more likely you are to have those feelings and to feel like, if this is what I have to do to lose weight, this isn't worth it. If that's the way that you're feeling, what you're doing, you've probably got the intensity turned up a little bit too high. We want to go for more consistency, less intensity. That is the goal here, even though that is the opposite of all of the advice that you're being given. All right, well, that's the last of the easy ones. There are 3 left, and I've got a bad feeling I'm going to end up crying through at least one of them, because I know what the last 3 are. And longtime listeners, I think some of you might know what some of the last 3 are, although maybe 1 or 2 of them will surprise you. At any rate, I will be back with those next week. Thank you for listening, and thank you for doing the work. This isn't easy, but you're still here, and that counts. It matters. You're showing up. If you've subscribed, shared, or left a review, thank you. It really does help more than you know, and it also makes it easier for other women to find this podcast so they feel a little less alone on their journey. If you want more support, resources, or info on the program or the membership, check out disruptingobesity.com or come see what I'm up to over on Instagram. You know where to find me. Come tell me how I can be helpful. And in the meantime, keep trying, keep tracking, don't be intimidated, and don't give up. You've totally got this.